one, we will not talk about. We will have no comments, further questions. It's water under the bridge. Whatever transpired on Saturday and what we had to go through and what we did with it, it's over with. And to Jonathan's credit, he was amazing. He was amazing at practice. He was amazing in the locker room. He was amazing during the whole thing. And I give a lot of credit to how he was raised and the way in which he was brought up. He's got that kind of toughness about him to move on. And it's over with. And we won't have any questions about that. Carter Hendrickson is fine. He had a scenario. He just was fatigued. It was anything more than that. He wasn't dehydrated. He wasn't anything. We're very, very fortunate. We've done this probably for the last 5-6 years, and we have these monitors that we monitor the guys with. And going into the game, I knew, because I'm very, very into that stuff. I like to pay attention to that stuff. And I noticed that his was a little bit odd, a little bit off. And he looked a little bit fatigued today at shoot-around as well, too. And didn't say anything because the last thing you want to do is kind of bring it to someone's attention, except Coach Burt knew and Coach Fred knew. And so as the game progressed and what he did in the first half, the amount of energy he exerted, he just got fatigued. And at halftime, he had his hand in his towel, and you could just see it just wasn't right. So it is what it is. And to these guys' credit, we're built. And so now I'm going to get into the game. So this is awesome. So I think it's awesome, but y'all can think whatever. But so our deal tonight, and what you got to think about is our theme for the night was 94 by 50 for 40. 94 by 50 for 40, which is 94 feet long, 50 feet wide, but you got to do it for 40 minutes. Because the way they play and the way in which they just try to get you sped up and the way in which they do all this stuff, the whole floor is huge. So what better comparison to use than how Noah constructed the ark? And how it was 475 feet long, it was 75 feet wide, it was 45 feet high, and that way it was constructed. Construct means together built, and that's what we are. We are together built. And even losing Carter and Jonathan, you can see we're together built, layups and dunks and wide open threes. And it didn't matter who it was. What mattered was that we did what we do, and we did it at a level. And when you think about when Noah built the ark, the one thing that he had to do when he built it is he had to do a lot of details. And I thought our guys tonight, 10 turnovers, 18 assists, and really, 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 the more they pressed, it seemed like the more the floor was broken. And our guys were really, 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 really good at that and taking advantage of it. And that's something that we preach that a lot to these guys, have poise, but also, too, once we get it going, to keep attacking. And these guys did that. The last part about the word construct and the definition that I really loved about it was, it said that when you construct something, you have a given conditions. Like everything's different, but in that particular moment when the ark was built, there were given conditions. And what did I tell you guys was going to happen to the ark when it was done? What did I tell you? Do you remember? What were the conditions that were given? What was going to happen when he was done building it? What was coming? The floods, the water. Yeah, this isn't a trick question. Right? The floods, the water, right? That was the given condition when he built it. And we told our guys the given condition is 94 by 50 for 40. It's going to be a 40-minute deal. And if we do that and we take care of that instance, those given conditions, that's what we got tonight. Every night is so different. So couldn't be more proud. 5 guys in double figures. Obviously, a lot of guys had to, I don't like to use the word step up because I think it's a bad term. It means they can't do it all the time. A lot of guys were presented opportunities to even do more, and they did it. And couldn't be more proud and couldn't be more excited. Now we get a little bit of rest. Bellarmine obviously played a little bit earlier than us, but not a big deal. And then we get ready for Friday night. Only senior will be Carter Hendrickson, and it'll be a great night for him.
Questions, Jacob, Josh.
Okay, so the first question is for you. Just a dominant defensive performance for you, Coach. Just a dominant defensive performance all around in this game, especially from beyond the arc, only giving EKU 19% three-point percentage, shooting only 4 for 21 from 3 during this game. Do you think that with how good of three-point shooters you have on your team with guys like Oscar, like Jose, guys who can really shoot the ball from deep, Do you guys think that helps you guys get better defending from beyond the arc, and did that make an impact in this game?
I think twofold. Number one, the three-point defense has always been a staple of ours. And for whatever reason, it kind of got away, but it's come back. And as we've gotten better and as we've won and as we've kind of flipped the script, especially in February, that's something that the guys have done a really, really good job of. When you have to go against it every day in practice, then obviously you're a little bit more alert to it. And our guys were really alert to, Marino got going a little bit early. I think he made 2 or 3 in the first half. I don't even know if they made one in the second half, maybe one. And so these guys, we have so many guys that can shoot threes. I think we made 13 again tonight. I think we're really capable of making somewhere between 16 and 20 every night personally. I think we get so many good looks, and we have so many guys. And again, it goes back to the arc. That's how we've constructed this team. And you got Jaden at the rim, you got Dorian at the rim, and now you got all this other stuff outside. You got to kind of pick your poison on how you want to go about it. And to our guys' credit, 18 assists. They were spraying and finding and doing those great things. So I think there is a strong correlation between those two things.
What are you more proud of, the 13 threes made or only 4 allowed?
4 allowed. I'm really proud of the way, because at the end of the day, defending is what's going to get you to where you want to get to. And the offensive end has always been something that we've been special on, and I think we'll continue to be like that. But the defensive end is something that I'm really, really super proud of. And the other thing, too, Mia, is I think the defensive end really flipped the script on the other end. Because we got, whatever it was, 24 out of, what did Coach say, 32? When we flipped it from down 2 to up 18, we got like 24 stops or something like that. We had 9 knockouts, which is like 6, we win like 92% of the time. We had 9. So I'm really proud, because I think it allows us to be better on offense, because it makes the floor that much more open.
Right. In the paint, they still won with the advantage, or it was only a 34 to 32 advantage for them. Obviously a bit of a mismatch. I mean, I think the math I did was like Cozart has like 55 pounds or something on Jaden. What did you think of his performance, then knowing that Carter and Dorian and Chaz to an extent had to play more in the front court and play more of that center role just because no Jonathan?
I think the one thing about 50 and 15, both of those guys, I think they put a lot of pressure on you because they can get to the rim. And to Jaden's credit, now he's a third-year player. He's kind of been the same, as far as his stature. And to his credit, he's fought so many guys. I mean, Oscar Sheboy this year, and what's a really great player, Gonzaga, Drew Timme. He's fought a lot of those kind of players. So he is not going to back down. He had some really big blocks. He altered a whole bunch of shots. And to his credit, he kept, fighting. And to Chaz's credit, he really hasn't played the fourth guard position enough. We always thought he could be that guy. And I don't want to say maybe that next guy, but we always thought Chaz could be that dude because he's so athletic. He can take you off the bounce. He's so strong. He can defend. He can do so many multiple things. So I'm glad that he got to go in and fight more with that, because I think he could really be a nightmare as we move on, especially starting Friday night with the way in which Bellarmine plays with 4 guards all the time.
Coach, going into the rebounding game, in the first half, EKU was really dominating the rebounding. What changed in the second half? Did you notice? Was it just getting your guys get in there, get more physical with them, use your body weight on them? I definitely noticed. It seemed like you guys started to really push them around a little more and use that physicality in the second half, to where they still did out-rebound you, but got a lot closer than it was in the first half.
I mean, Coach said before the game that it's going to take all the guys, 5 guys that's on the floor, and everybody else that's on the bench for all 40 minutes. So we knew that we're going to have to fight all 40 minutes long. So we just came out.
They're the leading offensive rebounding team in the league. They rebound 1 out of every 3 shots. And some of them are their own. And I think when you have the defense that we possessed, the first shot defense was ridiculous. And so you look at, they had 18, and they only turned it into 22 points. That's in and of itself is pretty impressive. So the fact that they had 18 is, but because they press, this is what people don't understand. Houston, we told the guys, are just like Houston. And because they press, they put 5 guys. The 2 guards are always at the three-point line, and 3 or 4 guys are always coming because they don't care if they get or don't get, because they don't care about transition. They're trying to get that rebound, get that score, put that press on you, and boom, and turn it up. So that makes it really, really difficult. And when you don't see that in our league, and if you look at my quote in the pregame quote that I gave, you don't see a team like this. And the same with Bellarmine. Bellarmine is a completely different style than they play. So when you have that kind of flip, when you have that kind of prep, you know, that's what I'm really, really, really excited about, the way in which our guys, 18 assists and 10 turnovers. That says a lot for our guys' poise and the ability to do what we need to do against that kind of pressure.
How do you go from that full court press now, 2 nights later, to transition to a different style?
Rest. Very, very, very simplistic as far as, you know, what we'll do tomorrow, and then a quick flip prep. And the one thing about them is you got to guard them for the shot clock. And there's nobody in America that passes the ball more than they do. They rarely dribble the ball twice. Actually, when they dribble the ball twice, they're usually inside the scoring area, closer to the rim, because they back you down a lot and play a lot out of the post. But they get the ball from side to side so quickly. And they get a lot of kudos for that, you know, throughout the country and people. So we've got to be on our P's and Q's, because sometimes the ball mesmerizes you. And that's kind of the difference between these two teams. You know, this other team kind of puts it on you and presses up in you and does that. This team, they try to mesmerize you, and that ball can sometimes, you get ball watching, and the next thing you know, cut 3, back cut, layup, and they're no different than us. I mean, layups and dunks and wide open threes. I think if you look at most good offensive teams, you know, whatever that looks like in our mind, layups and dunks and wide open threes are what they are trying to do.
So one statistic that I think really got overlooked when talking about not only how you guys played defensively, but also the amount of assists that guys like Jerry has had, is how you guys played when getting steals. Because especially in the first half, I really saw those steals leading to a lot of assists. Like, I remember Carter got one where it looked like he was making a pick in a football game, and then there was another one where I believe you got a steal and you got it to Jaden for a dunk. So is that something really you guys...
That was Carter's backward dunk.
Yeah.
I think that's what tired him out.
But is that really something that you guys put emphasis in, is getting the ball out after you get a turnover like that, passing it out, moving it around?
Yeah, that's something that we put emphasis on. On our board, we have a list of things that we want to do in the game, and a certain stat. So that's after stop turnover, so after stop score. So basically, we keep that, and we want to have that number high. So we put emphasis on that.
So we love to be around 1.3. That's a little bit higher than the national average. So obviously you don't want to be average, because normal's only a setting on a washing machine. Ask my wife; Carrie will tell you that. So the one thing about what you just said is we actually talked about that at halftime, and you know, we had 17 points off their turnovers at halftime, and so we really flipped the floor. One of our former players, Will Wilson, was at practice the other day, and he was like, "Coach, we didn't do that when I was here. This particular thing we were doing in our defensive drills." And I said, "Well, we kind of changed for a lot of different reasons, and that's part of it. So we go from defense and we flip it to offense as part of the drill, and now we do that with all of our drills. And so I think we've really seen a lot of good things that have come from that."
And going on top of that, what I've seen from you guys from the beginning of the season to now, I see you guys moving the ball a lot more. And instead of just going for the paint, using your big guys, you guys still use them, especially with, in previous games, you'll have your 1-2 punch of Jaden and Jonathan. But I see now you guys are passing the ball out a lot more and taking a lot more mid-range shots, using your three-point players like Oscar, Jose a lot more. Is ball movement something you guys just gradually built towards throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, there's a major focus on ball movement. Like Coach said, we take layups, wide open threes, and dunks. So, I mean, if the mid-range is there, wide open, we won't pass it up. But, yeah.
We always talk about move the body, move the ball, move the body, move the ball. When you move the body, move the ball, something's going to happen. And usually when you put two people together, that's when something happens, and now they make a mistake, or they're switching, or they're not switching. I thought you were switching, you might be switching, and next thing you know, we're naked for threes.
Yeah.
Or we're throwing it to the rim and we're naked for a layup or a dunk. So the answer to your question is, it's always been a huge part of pace, space, and embrace, but to these guys' credit, they really elevated it.
Anything else, guys?
Jarius and Chaz, when I say Bellarmine from last year, thoughts that come into your mind? Obviously, they won the league tournament, couldn't get the NCAA official bid because they were new to Division I and to the conference. What do you remember from those meetings a year ago?
What I remember is just very strategic team. They're gonna try and get you with the okey doke, so you just have to be on your P's and Q's the whole game for 40 minutes, or else they're gonna get you with a back door or something. But they're always looking for that quick play.
When I hear Bellarmine, I hear I think of ball movement, and then first half they had us dominating us in the first half. Went into halftime, made a defensive adjustment, and then once we did that, we was rolling. Their offense wasn't as good, so I think that'll be an emphasis on the game coming up. Watch the game tonight probably, and then make that change.
And I guess for Coach, how have you seen Bellarmine change from last year to this year, if at all, or are they largely the same?
You know, they're a lot like us in the sense that we're really a plug and play. We've always been a plug and play. We've always been successful recruiting the kind of players that fit into how we play, and we don't change what we're doing. We just put the new dudes in, and they're the same way. I mean, they lost, obviously really, really great players, but still the way they play is just you really have to be alert to that and understand that. And so we just got to refresh, rejuvenate that. I think that's as important, and then understand what's at hand too, because it's not just a game. I'm not a senior night guy. So I don't start seniors on senior night if they don't start. I didn't start my son. Carrie wasn't mad at me because I'm not going to do that. I'm not a senior night guy. I think senior night, when you give them the shirt and you honor them, to me, that's senior night. The game is the game. And so they'll know that message going into Friday. It's the next game on the schedule. It's the most critical game on the schedule, and it has a lot of implications, obviously.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,